I'm here with Michael Crocker, who has a passion for restoring vintage pinball games and upright arcade games and bringing them back to life. He's already restored two pinball machines, High Speed and Knight Rider, and he is currently in the process of restoring Defender, an upright arcade game. I doubt these games were just lying around on the side of the road when you got them, so how did you end up with them?
Well, I actually found both my pinball machines out on Craigslist, and the Defender game, there was a gentleman at work that was put it up on the bulletin board and said he was moving and needed to get rid of it. So the high-speed game, when I found it, was actually fully intact and just needed a good cleaning and a few repairs to some of the boards. So I was able to send those off to a person on the East Coast that repairs the boards and got that back. The Knight Rider pinball was totally different, though. It was literally a box of parts when I bought it. I had to go through every single part, make sure I had every part that I needed, and make sure that they weren't broken and I could put the game back together. The Defender game actually worked when I got it, but the cabinet was in really bad condition. There was a lot of water damage, and the graphics on the side were really faded and peeling. So I've gone back and restored the cabinet and painting it, and I'm actually recreating the graphics that I plan to have printed on vinyl and put those on the side of the cabinet and bring that one back to life.
Okay, so these games and many others have obviously changed over the years, but how have you noticed them change from when you were a kid to now?
Well, when I was a kid, I was a kid in the 70s and 80s. So pinball machines back in the early 30s, which are the ones I started playing on in the early 70s, those were electromechanical pinball machines, which meant that they used a lot of mechanical relays and motors and switches to perform the functions within the machine. And scoring was done with a series of wheels with the numbers 0 through 9 that would rotate and show what the current score was. In the mid-70s, about 1977 or so, games were started to be made with solid-state components. A lot like the boards on a computer today, scoring systems were also updated to use LEDs. And there was a time period in the late 70s that some machines that they started building in the late 70s were actually both electromechanical versions, and they had some solid-state versions. So actually the Knight Rider machine I have is a solid-state version, but there actually is an electromechanical version of the machines out there. And then today they've taken another leap forward that machines are used using high-definition screens as the play field, and so really they're virtual pinball machines because they don't have any physical moving parts in them.
So, with today's generation, it seems as if video game consoles like Xbox are becoming more and more prominent. Do you think the popularity of these game consoles will make it so old arcade games will die out? Or do you think there will always be someone who will either want to play them or restore them so that others can play?
That's a good question. I mean, I think there's a lot of competition that people like to be able to sit in their house and play their game console, but I think as long as there's people like me out there that like the old pinball and arcade games better than the game consoles that are out there today on the market, I think the vintage games will last for many more years. Parts are still available from various online retailers, and I think people like getting to drop a quarter or two into the game and play for a few minutes, something different than using these remotes that you hold in your hand to play the arcade consoles. But I think many of the older games are also fading away because a lot of people are getting the old cat games like either maybe Centipede or Pac-Man and turning their cabinets into multi-game machines where the user can choose from 60 or more games on a single machine. And so I think they are going to last for a while, but like I said, it just depends on whether there's people out there that want to keep them up and running.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about this, especially because not many people have pinball or arcade games in their house, much less restore them.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Caitlin. It's been great talking with you, and I really hope more people get interested in the older games and keep them alive. And, hey, if you're ever in the neighborhood, drop by and play a game or two.